G'day folks, I am into the first turn of my attack phase sequence of play. I wanted to give a bit of a brief recap and kind of explain what's happened. So this training scenario starts on turn 7. On your turn, you follow for the approach step where your submarine is around the outside, or your U-boat, I should say, is around the outside. You follow this brief sequence of play during the approach phase. And because this is a training scenario, we ignore ASW move search attack. I'm not damaged yet, so all I'm pretty much doing here is U-boat movement. On my turn, I move around the outside of the board. I think I started somewhere around here. So on turn 7, I moved, and then at the start of turn 8, I make a die roll to see if I enter the attack phase. I failed on turn 8, failed on turn 9, failed on turn 10, which basically meant that on those turns, I was just traversing around the side of the board for something to do and put myself kind of in the middle of the map, thinking it's kind of almost in the middle of where this convoy will be. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but that's what I've done. So at the start of turn 11, I automatically enter the attack phase and I do my U-boat movement. So I think I was in this box here and I move into one of the 5 spaces adjacent to that box. So here I am heading down towards this convoy. The next step is to do U-boat observation. So I consult the observation table. It is night with good weather. So I have a spotting range of 6 and an ID range of 4. Now there are these spotting range markers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can spot out to there. And diagonally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out to there. And basically, I place ships equivalent to their level or ring on those spaces. And that's what I've done here. So that's my spotting range. Now, none of these ships are within range 4, so I can't ID them yet. And I'm not close enough to a ring 2 or a ring 3 to identify any of those ships. The next step in the sequence of play is my TDC calculation. So I pick a target ship, and let's say I pick this one right in front. Okay, this ship right there in the middle. I then draw a card from the combat deck, and again I check range. So we're range 5 to 8, and I check weather. It is night and good weather, so I have a +2 modifier. What this means is I look down at my torpedoes, and I say, okay, I'm going to fire torpedo 1, 4 tube. It has a +2 modifier. I can also decide to fire another torpedo. So let's say, okay, let's give this a go. Let's fire 2 torpedoes to start things off. A +2 modifier on tubes 1 and 2. I then take torpedo targeting tubes 1 and 2 and place them on that targeted ship. Now, the rulebook is giving me these reminders that if I'm using crew enhancements, I may be able to select additional ships, pull 2 cards and choose which one to use, add a dice roll modifier. On subsequent turns, I can make a calculation on a different target while maintaining the modifiers on a previous target, or I can make a calculation on the target already having a modifier to try to improve its modifier. If the new modifier is equal to or less than the modifier, there's no change. If it's better than the current modifier, I update it. Now, +2 seems to be pretty good, so I could attempt this. If diving to 15 meters or deeper, I'm currently on the surface. Remove all modifiers from torpedo tubes and markers from their targets. Okay, if diving. I will point out this is my U-boat Y, and I'm currently on the surface. But basically during the move phase, I can dive with this U-boat. I think the Type 7s can dive 15 meters and move forward, or they can dive 30 meters and remain where they are. But it seems like being on the surface is the place to be, so that's where I am. Now, in this training scenario, we skip step 5, ASW move. There's quite a few pages dedicated to this. I'm not sure how this works yet. Fortunately for this training scenario, we skip this and we go straight to convoy movement. Now, during the convoy movement phase, there's quite a procedure involved. Basically, what happens here is the map simulates the movement of the entire convoy. Now, rather than moving every ship, and there could be dozens, rather than moving every ship one space or more north or up, what we basically do is we kind of simulate the movement of all these things, and we move. There's a couple of things we do. Okay, so let's say I was facing this way, for example. I would move down like that to represent the convoy moving towards me. As it is, I'm facing them anyway, but facing doesn't really matter in this situation. This is just a representation of the convoy actually moving towards me. I've done my move early in the turn, and now this represents the convoy moving up towards me. Now, as part of this phase, there'll be movement for escorts and things like that as well. If we ever move off the bottom of the map, basically we lose contact, the scenario ends, or the patrol ends. We also check for collision, so I'll need to be mindful of that as I'm heading straight for this middle ship. And normally we do a convoy search to see that if these ships spot my U-boat, if it's on the surface or at periscope depth. But in this training scenario, we skip that as well. The next step is the torpedo reload phase. It takes about, I think it's 3 turns to reload a torpedo, and there are torpedo loading markers, torpedo 1, torpedo loading 2, and then it's removed on the 3rd turn when it loads. I haven't fired a torpedo yet, so I don't have to worry about that. So the next step is U-boat attack, and this is really the core, step 8, the I guess the exciting part of this sequence where we actually fire our torpedoes. Again, we have torpedo tubes 1 and 2 firing at this ship. So we take these off our submarine, a U-boat, sorry. We place them on the target, maintaining the proper firing angle from the U-boat. Maintaining the proper firing angle from the U-boat. So it actually looks like the torpedoes are coming from our U-boat straight on. Okay, this is important because there's a modifier based on where that enemy ship is facing. Then I return the TDC target ID marker from the target ship to my supply. So that's done now. I've picked my target. I have my modifiers in place. The torpedoes are in the water on their way to the target. Repeat that for every torpedo being fired. Then the firing angle is the angle at which the torpedo will hopefully strike its target. The angle is established the moment torpedo is fired and must correspond to one of the 8 possible orientations shown on an angle DRM card, which I'll show you in just a moment. Okay, so firing the forward or stern torpedo tubes between 0 to 45 degrees has no modifier. Okay, so because I'm firing straight on, there's no modifier, but firing outside, like if I'm facing this way and trying to fire that, there'll be a -1 dice roll modifier because of the angle of firing. And then we'd adjust the TDC, which again is +2. We count the range in spaces from my U-boat to the target, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Using the range and the type of torpedo fired, determine the torpedo's speed using this table. Okay, so we are looking at G7A steam torpedoes in the early war. Okay, the range is 4, so the speed is 1. We then place a general information marker with a 1 at the top on each of these torpedoes to show their speed. Okay, like so. Now, I think 1 is good. It represents it's the lowest. It's the number of turns it will take to reach this target, which is good. So I guess longer range, it'll have a higher speed number, like 3 at range 10, but that indicates 3 turns to reach the target. So 1 is good. It's a fast-moving torpedo, short range. It'll reach there in 1 turn. Okay, so we proceed to damage control. Again, no damage. We advance the turn marker. We're now on turn 12. And the first thing we do at the start of the next turn is torpedo move detonation. So we check to see if these torpedoes hit. First thing we do is subtract 1 from the movement of each torpedo. They go down to 0. Torpedoes that are at 0 have basically reached the range of their target, and we check to see if they hit. So we're told to place our attack marker. So I suppose we do this 1 at a time. So we put our U-boat attack marker there. If there are multiple ships being targeted, we use a random number generator. So again, if there were like 3 different ships, we'd go 3 ships. Okay, we target the first one. That's how this random number generator works. If multiple torpedoes from 2 or more U-ships reach a single target, determine the sequence by that random number as well. Okay, so torpedo hit check. Here's where we check to see if we hit. We draw a combat card. Yep. Draw a combat card. Turn it vertically to align with the merchant to hit side at the top and place it in an open space on the table. Locate the appropriate to hit marker. It's a slow convoy with good visibility. So we're looking at a hit marker of 6. This is the minimum number needed to achieve a hit. Okay, the next step is to draw an angle DRM card, and we place that with the size modifier out on the left. So we're looking at this little blue band out on the left, and this is a size modifier for the target ship. We then pull another one of these angle DRM cards, and we orient it with the ship modifier information in the center. This is our torpedo to hit angle modifier. We place the torpedo, and we're looking at this torpedo first from tube 1 on the card at the angle the torpedo is striking. So we're looking at straight on, which is not the best angle, for a -2 modifier. Then we place our torpedo tube 1 TDC modifier above the ship modifier, like so. Okay, finally, we pull a D10. This is the important one. It's a 2. And then we, a 1 is an automatic miss, a 10 is an automatic hit. Otherwise, we apply all modifiers. 2 plus 2 is 4. I guess, do we reveal the ship? I may have missed. It's a medium-sized ship, so a +0 modifier. So 2 plus 2 is 4. -2 for angle is 2. Unfortunately, we're a long way from that 6 to hit. So this is going to be a miss. We need greater than or equal to that to hit number to hit. If it's less, then it misses the target. And if there's a convoy ship in the adjacent space, Okay, well, I think there isn't yet, but I guess, do I automatically spot? I don't think it does, but I have just realized that I have tactical points. Now my ship has got 2 tactical points here, and I can use these to redraw. And basically, on the torpedo detonation check, I'm allowed to redraw. So I'm going to spend 1 tactical point to try and redraw. I don't like that 2. I like my other modifiers. I've got a +2 here. Yes, that's -2. Oh, look, let's give it a go. Let's redraw. It's an 8. Okay, so that's good. It's a hit. Okay. The next step is to make a detonation or dud check. And this is another one where we can re-pull by spending those tactical points. So we pull a detonation damage card from the detonation damage deck over here and check the torpedo detonation section for early war and the torpedo type. So looking at early war G7A, which is the top there. There's a big tick there, which means the torpedo will detonate. We complete this step, then proceed to ship damage resolution. Now we pull another detonation ship damage card and we check for ship damage by the size of the ship. Okay, so we are looking at a medium ship here, the big M on the bottom left corner. I like that S. That S, we apply the results. The S means sunk. We remove the convoy ship, place it near my U-boat board for post-patrol calculations, place a sunk marker on the space. So what we do is we always put markers. If the ship is damaged or sunk, we put a sunk marker on the space as a reminder that we don't reoccupy that space with another ship. And add the ship's VP value to the VP total on the info turn track. So it was Sorry, not 6, it's 3. 3 VP total. Ship is damaged. Remove any other torpedoes targeting sunk ships that would have arrived later that turn, so they go past. Nothing further happens. That's it. If there's a torpedo targeting convoy ship, the ship sinks. That torpedo is removed and placed back in supply with no further effect. So there we go, folks. First successful torpedo attack. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. More to come. Thanks, folks.